Parshas Bo is basically one of four consecutive parshas that deals with tells the story of the exodus of the nation of Israel from the nation of Egypt. It starts with Parshas Shemos, when Hakadosh Baruch Hu appoints Moshe to lead the people out of Egypt. And it really doesn't end the whole story until Parshas Beshalach, when they cross the Red Sea and they go into the Sinai Desert, which is basically a no man's land. Then they are totally out of Egypt, at least physically. Now, you have a lengthy section. The heart of the section is basically on the miracles and the plagues of Egypt. And it starts with Moshe turning his staff into a snake, and it ends with the parting of the Red Sea and the Egyptians being drowned in the Red Sea. Now, this section tends to cause a lot of confusion. What people would like to believe is that Moshe is in fact trying to either persuade or force Pharaoh out into releasing the children of Israel. And it's seriously at odds with the text. On the contrary, what Moshe is doing is basically harassing and mocking Pharaoh in order to create a spirit of defiance, so that he will specifically refuse, beating him at his favorite trick and showing him up as a spoil sport. Okay, the idea is to show what a Russia Pharaoh is. That's the idea. The idea is to be a character study of Pharaoh and Egypt, specifically their worst aspects. You will have times when Moshe will mock Pharaoh. He'll sound pompous, or he'll sound like a sweatshop boss, and essentially what you're supposed to do is see through to then see this is how Pharaoh acts, and Moshe is making a parody of him. Or you'll see Pharaoh constantly reneging or acting like he's a really devout and religious person, and it's all a show. It's all a charade. Okay? That is what is being done. You want to see just how rotten Pharaoh is and just how rotten Egypt is. And the idea is that basically there's a little bit of Pharaoh within us. And this is what we want to uproot. And as a result of that, we see it in all of its ugliness and all of the disasters that it really does bring upon an evil person, that it's really not the way that you want to go. And what you have in the Parsha is that Egypt, it's a prophecy of destruction, that Nebuchadnezzar is basically going to come to the country and wreak havoc on them and exile all of the people. That's the story. But it has really two other things that are somewhat at odds with this, in that Egypt is referred to as a Yafafia, a beauty. Okay? And, how can you say, well, they're doing all these miserable things and they're about to be destroyed? Well, why would you call them a beauty and point out the beauty and the greatness of Egypt? And the reason is because Egypt has legitimate good points. Specifically, they welcomed Yaakov and his sons and their extended family to Egypt during the famine, specifically when they were in need, and it was basically sincere. In addition to that, even with all of the grief that Yoseph had in Egypt, nevertheless, they recognized his greatness and they venerated him greatly, and they gave him a position of power and responsibility for a very long time, and they basically followed the system that he instituted for a very long time. So as a result, what you have to see is that Egypt has its beauty and merits. It also has its very bad points. There is a tendency, though, that within Egypt to say that they're not as great as they seem. That's an important point. And it lends itself to a comparison with Israel, because what it talks about also, this is again a situation which you have to look at because it seems to be out of place, is that Israel is assured, or they are told, that you shouldn't fear, you shouldn't be distressed. When you see all these horrible things happening, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to return the descendants of the people there to the Holy Land, from the lands of their captivity. And there they will dwell in quiet tranquility, and the nations that hounded them and surrounded them, they will be gone. Okay? And then it says that that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not forgive you for everything, that he's not going to overlook your violations, but nevertheless, he is not going to completely destroy you either. Now, the basic idea with this is that Israel is fundamentally good and has greatness in them. However, they also have a lot of bad in them too. I shouldn't say a lot of bad. They have bad in them. And that bad is at times extremely stubborn, and it takes horrible things to just get rid of it. And when these horrible things are happening, you should know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to destroy the Jewish people, and that he is not overreacting to their transgressions. He's giving them pain and suffering in a measured fashion. That's basically fair. And the idea is to purify them, and those that pass through this ordeal will learn something from it. They will be more pure, and they will also advance. In the end, you're going to have a new era in the world. To a certain extent, we are living in prehistory now, and once Israel truly is a tool in the hands of the good Lord, that's the point when we will really begin to live as individuals and live as a nation. And it's at that point we will dwell in our land in peace and prosperity. and the difficulties of the past will only be a faint memory. Thank you.